Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days for today's video. So that's going to take us to around the 2nd, 3rd of June, going into the opening days of next month, of course. We'll also have a look at Beijing Climate Centre today for the next 40 days. That takes us towards the end of June. This week, I believe. Going to start off with the Arctic and North Atlantic oscillations. So, we've got an interesting watch. And talking of interesting, we've got Terry Scully's summer forecast coming up this evening. So that's going to be a very interesting read. That'll be 7 o'clock at Gazovich. You'll find out what Terry Scully's forecasting for the summer of 2019 this evening. Will be a really interesting read, I'm sure. Right, going to start off with the Arctic oscillation observed and forecast chart. So black line tells where we've been with the Arctic oscillation, red lines at the end where the GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic oscillation to go. Remember, this is just an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state. It's not driving anything. Just tells us what the atmosphere is doing. The Arctic oscillation should be negative through May. So you can see the black line here at the beginning of May around neutral, but then dipping down into negative territory into the second half of the month. Red lines, GFS ensembles, showing that there is going to be a recovery in the Arctic oscillation going back towards neutral. In the next few days from the negative level that it is right now. That's where it is right now. So the next few days is going to go back to neutral. After that, it looks like we're still broadly trending on the negative side, really, although there are some ensemble members that are going more positive into the beginning of June. That's 1st of June, just there, of course. So it looks like the blocking signal is going to reduce. I'm not sure the blocking signal is going to entirely go away, though. So I suspect what's going to happen is that we're going to start getting a little bit more of an influence from the Azores high as we go into the beginning of June. But I'm not sure that that's going to last all that long. It may well finish up going north again in the end and possibly reinforcing the blocking pattern. It's not a conducively strong signal for blocking to be going away. It's not a conducively strong signal for an end to this negative phase of the Arctic oscillation. So, yes, I think the Arctic oscillation is going to go from the very negative phase in now to something closer to neutral, but not necessarily getting entirely rid of the blocking signal. And this is kind of like confirmed by the North Atlantic oscillation. So again, the black line shows where we've been with the NEO, red line at the end where the GFS ensembles forecasting the NEO to go. The North Atlantic oscillation has been negative throughout May. That's the beginning of May just here. You see, at that point, we was already going strongly negative. And we stayed very negative with the NEO right up to where we are right now, which is just there. Now, in the next couple of weeks, the GFS ensembles are forecasting for the first week, for week 1, NEO is going to stay negative. In week 2, it looks like it's trying to recover itself back towards neutral. 1 or 2 ensemble members are going positive. But again, this is not a strong signal to be sending the NEO back to positive territory. And so, although we are probably going to see the blocking signal relaxing and reducing as we get through to the end of May and the beginning of June, we're not necessarily going back into a strong Azores high type pattern, which you would get at this time of year with a positive AO and NAO. So it's quite complicated, this. It's quite subtle. Yes, looks like blocking signal can reduce, relax a little bit, but possibly not entirely going away. So this is how the 500 millibar high W flowcharts are looking for the next couple of weeks from Penn State University. Got the ECMWF here on the top and the GFS is on the bottom. Have a look at it in a moment. 500 millibars, 85 feet, is an area in the atmosphere. High pressure, low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream. Red separates high pressure blue to low pressure. So these are mean flow charts for the 7 to 10 day time frame. This takes us into the start of June. You'll see that the ECM is building up this ridge of above average heights to our southwest. That's a ridge from the Azores high that is sending the jet stream northwards. So it is turning drier and warmer in that sort of pattern. But you'll notice there is still quite an appreciable level of blocking over here across Greenland. And so if we're not careful with this, what could happen is that this high pressure could just finish up pushing into that direction or ridging into that direction, forming or reinforcing the block around Greenland. And then we could eventually go back into kind of like an unsettled and cool northerly pattern. With this low pressure just here. So for a while it may turn a bit drier and warmer as against the start of June, or it could turn a bit warmer as against the start of June, but I'm not sure how long that goes on for. And the GFS actually shows what could happen here quite well. This is the GFS 500 mile high anomaly flow chart. Again, we've got that ridge down to our southwest, but look how it's ridging through the North Atlantic up to all of this blocking that's sitting around Greenland and the North Pole. And then, of course, we've got this trough of low pressure just here to our northeast. So, again, that could bring in cool northerly winds and unsettled conditions if this blocking goes far enough north. So it's a very subtle pattern, this, and yes, we're likely to see a reduction of the negativity of the AO and NAO, which tells us there could be a reduction of a blocking signal, but the blocking might not necessarily entirely go away, and we could find ourselves with that blocking being reinforced eventually. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. We're looking at Aberdeen up in the north of Scotland today. So the red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Aberdeen. Starting off quite close to average at the moment, but a slide in the temperature is coming. Going to turn cooler over the bank holiday weekend and into next week. Actually turning quite cold over across Scotland. It won't be that cold down in the south, but you'll notice for a while, start of next week, the upper air temperature is getting very close to -5 at 850 HPA, which is really cold actually for the end of May. That's a very, very cold upper air temperature indeed. Might even be enough to produce a little bit of winteriness in showers over the Scottish mountains. So temperature sliding into the weekend and next week. Beyond that, as we go into the opening part of June, recovery in temperature is taking place, although there is a lot of scatter within that, so there is a chance of a very warm spell of weather through this first week of June. We have got some ensemble members that are going up to +10 at 850 HPA, but conversely there are some quite chilly ensemble members too, so a big range of possibilities seem to be on the table as we get through to the first week of June, although the ensemble mean, that's a white line, is recovering back closer to average anyway after that very cool period we've got coming up over weekend and into the start of next week. Precipitation wise, Aberdeen, quite a bit of dry weather over the next few days. So it's a bit of showery rain around today, but then it's going to go drier for a while tomorrow and Saturday, maybe lasting to Sunday. But gradually over the weekend into next week, does look as though it's turning more unsettled. Temperature anomalies from the 23rd to the 31st of May, a little bit below average, so we're going back to cooler than average temperatures for the final week of May, it would seem. Precipitation anomalies, whoops, that's the wrong chart. Precipitation anomalies, a little bit wetter than average for the north, near normal down in the south, possibly a bit drier than average on the south coast. So quite a north-south split actually. Scotland in particular coming out wetter than average, but southern England, the south coast, possibly coming out a bit drier than average. That's how the GFS 6 o'clock operational run is looking for Sunday then, and it's only been unsettled on Sunday. Got this low pressure out to the northwest that's heading into the UK. Notice we've got blocking across Greenland, and we've also got high pressure down to our southwest. That's the Azores high, of course, but in between we're bringing in a bit of influence from the jet stream, and we're bringing in some low pressure, so turning showery over the weekend. As this low pressure clears away to our east on Bank Holiday Monday, that is actually turning winds into the north. So it's going to get colder as we go through the Bank Holiday weekend. We saw that on the ensemble for Aberdeen, of course. So that's Tuesday next week. We're in a proper northerly there. Could be cold enough for showers to turn wintry, would you believe, over Scottish mountains. Then go through into Wednesday and Thursday, still looking rather showery really. The Azores high is trying to ridge in, but overall it looks like it stays pretty showery through the middle part of next week. As we head up towards day 10 though, the high pressure begins to make its move. So this takes us to day 10, which is Sunday the 2nd of May. Sunday 2nd of June, I should say, high pressure is building in then across the country. It's not particularly warm. We're on the cool side of this ridge of high pressure, so temperatures would probably only be kind of mid to upper teens, but it would be settling down and away from the southeast, where this northeast wind could bring cloud and showers. Most places would be dry under that ridge of high pressure. Into more extended range, we keep this high pressure sort of sitting out to our west-southwest, throwing up this ridge to us. So it does certainly settle down through the first week of June with this particular GFS run. Certainly settling down. And it's warming up. There will be plenty of sunshine around, probably lifting temperatures to low 20 Celsius. Not a heat wave. We're not pulling up winds from a southeasterly direction, so we're not drawing in hot air. But certainly mainly dry, quite warm and pleasant conditions through the first week of June with that particular GFS run. Let's have a look at the parallel GFS. This is how it's looking. So again, rather showery on Sunday. This area of low pressure heading in from off the Atlantic. Carries on being quite showery and increasingly cool into the early part of next week. Heading into the middle of next week, when it stays quite unsettled actually. Low pressure never far away, bringing more showers or maybe even some longer spells of rain. We move up towards day 10. And so still quite mixed actually up to day 10, although gradually heights are beginning to strengthen down to our south, slowly but surely pushing this area of low pressure closer towards Iceland. In the extended range of the parallel GFS, it starts to turn very warm. This is the difference in the position of the high pressure through this first week of June. This is Tuesday the 4th of June. Now, the GFS 6 o'clock operational run does have high pressure and control here, but it has it generally just a little bit to southwest of us, which keeps us on the cool side of that ridge. But the parallel GFS has the ridge kind of like over Denmark and Germany, and that's bringing in the wind from a southeasterly type direction. So obviously we're drawing in much warmer air from southern Europe into that area of high pressure that's showing up on the parallel GFS. So they're very similar, but they're just subtly different with the position of the high pressure through the first week of June. And this could turn things really warm, actually, if this comes off through the first week of June. Maybe even a bit of a heat wave going on there. That's how the upper air temperatures are looking on Saturday, 8th of June. So we're bathed in very warm upper air temperatures. That could easily lift temperatures to mid to high 20s, actually, through the first week of June with that area of high pressure. So the hints are still there of potentially some much warmer weather early on in June. But as we saw on the ensemble graph, there is a lot of uncertainty about that first week of June. ECM looks like this. Again, it's rather showery on Sunday, and those showery conditions continuing to Monday and Tuesday. Increasingly cool winds pushing down from the northwest as well. Generally quite unsettled into the second half of next week too, although a bit of a ridge tries to get going down in the south. As you head up towards day 10, again, just a few hints that the high pressure is trying to get central parts of Europe, trying to bring up some warmer air from the south, perhaps around day 10. Have a look at the upper air temperatures. You see there is quite a lot of warm air sitting to our south. So if that ridge was to be able to hold on across Germany and Denmark for another day or two, we'll probably start drawing up some real heat from the south through the first week of June. The hints are still there of something a lot warmer coming along for the first week of June, but how long that would last, I suspect it would probably only be quite temporary. We may in the end find ourselves going back into kind of like a relatively cool and blocked pattern. We shall see. This is how the ensemble's looking from the ECM today. So these are the options that we have on the table for day 10, which is the 2nd of June, which is Sunday, the 2nd of June, I think. From the Icelandic Met Office. So you have 20 members of the ECM ensembles with this area of below average heights to our northeast. Some above average heights across Greenland and also to our south. So quite showery, quite mixed with those, relatively cool as well. Then we've got 20 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure in the North Sea, or a trough of below average heights in the North Sea, blocking around Greenland. They're cool and unsettled. And then there's 11, which does include the operational run. That's the run we're just looking at, and the control run too. They're a lot more settled and warmer, with above average heights building up from the southwest. So that's drawing the air up from much more of a southerly direction, and the jet streams push northwards as well. So actually we see within the ECM ensembles today that this scenario that we have at day 10, we should start dragging up that warmer air from the south on the ECM operation run. We can see from the ensembles that the scenario is not particularly well supported, actually. Although there are 11 members that are doing it, and it does include the ECM control run as well, but it's a minority option definitely. And if we was put the 20 that we have here with these 20 here, that's 40, but actually look a lot cooler and more unsettled at day 10 compared to what that ECM operation run is showing. So certainly that warm air being dragged up in the opening days of June is a minority option within the ECM ensembles. In 2 weeks' time, this looks rather strange. We've got, this is the 7th of June, we've got 51 members of the ECM ensembles, like 100%, that are coming up with this sort of pattern. I'm not really sure quite what's going on there, to be honest, so I think we'll leave that alone. We'll just have a look at the Beijing Climate Centre before we go. So these are 500 millibar heights, and they're broken down into 10-day periods. The first 10-day period is going from the 26th of May to the 4th of June. So the coming 10-day period has above average heights out to our northwest. If we come over here, we've got below average heights to our east-northeast. Looks rather cool, and with winds from a northwesterly direction, rather cool. Not overly unsettled. The Atlantic is blocked off, so it's not particularly wet, but certainly it is a little bit on the cool side there for the end of May. Then we go through to week 2, or a second 10-day period, I should say, which is taking us from the 5th through to the 14th of June. This one looking rather unsettled, actually. Below average heights out to our west and bringing in westerlies. So that's a return of the westerlies there from the 5th to the 14th of June. Will be rather Atlantic driven with showers along with spells of rain. Week 3 carries on that period, or I should say the third 10-day period. I'm used to saying weekly periods because we look at the CFS most days, but I'd like to rest the CFS on a Thursday and have a look at the Beijing Climate Centre. But just bear with me, this is the third 10-day period. It takes us from the 15th to the 24th of June, and it looks rather Atlantic driven again, with below average heights to the north and over the UK. We bring in the westerly winds, so that would be quite cool and unsettled in that 10-day period. And then the final 10-day period, which takes us from the 25th of June to the 4th of July. We're actually getting into July with Beijing Climate Centre now. Days 31 to 40. Signs of a change then. Above average heights starting to build over and to the east of the UK. That will break us out of that westerly phase of weather and turn us quite a lot drier, and also quite a lot warmer as well, as winds push up from the south. That's all really speculative stuff, and I think it's got to be the next week to 10 days that we concentrate on and going into early June, because there's quite a lot of uncertainty as far as this first week of June period is concerned. The possibility is there that we're going to get some much warmer, maybe hotter weather through the first week of June, maybe even our first heat wave of the summer. But that is very, very uncertain, as I'm sure you'll have gleaned from this update. And it is equally possible that even if we do pull up some warmth, it may only be very temporary before we're back to kind of like blocking and cooler winds too. So that's what we're focusing on, I think, over the next few days, how things are going to play out through the end of May and into early June. I think that will be the focus of the updates in the next few days. Right, Terry Scully's summer forecast will be released this evening at gazobits.com. It'll be very, very interesting. It'll be around 7 o'clock this evening. Do come back and have a read of that. Tomorrow I've got JMA Friday, week to 10-day video update, and we'll have this month's ENSO update as well tomorrow. That's all for now though, and thanks for watching.